All right, let's talk about something that, let's be honest, probably affects every single one of us: the insane pull of our screens. From getting sucked into video games to just endlessly scrolling through social media. We're going to break down the science behind why these habits are so sticky and map out a real practical way to get our time and our focus back. This quote just nails it, right? You can't even sit down to eat a meal without throwing on a YouTube video. This constant nagging need for stimulation, it's really the core of the problem. It leaves us feeling scattered, not as productive as we want to be, and kind of disconnected from our actual goals. It's a recipe for feeling dissatisfied. Okay, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get a clear picture of the trap we're all in. Then, we'll dive into the brain science, the why behind it all. After that, we get to the good stuff: a practical 3-step plan to get out, a powerful way to rewire your own thinking, and finally, we'll talk about how to deal with those inevitable bumps in the road. So, what exactly is this modern trap? See, when we hear addiction, we usually think of drugs or alcohol, but today it is everywhere. It's spending 8 hours glued to a video game. It's the endless, mindless scroll on social media. It's getting lost in porn for hours. These habits can feel just as destructive and honestly just as impossible to break. And man, this right here, this captures that feeling perfectly, doesn't it? It's that feeling that keeps so many of us completely stuck. It's that constant, exhausting uphill battle where you tell yourself, okay, this is the last time, only to find yourself right back at the start the very next day. It's draining, and you are definitely not alone in feeling this way. So why is it so ridiculously hard to break these habits? It's not just about willpower, not even close. The real answer is actually hardwired deep inside our brains. So let's get into the science of our own internal reward system. This right here is the key to the whole thing. Every single time you do something that feels good, like winning a level in a game or eating a piece of chocolate, your brain releases a chemical called dopamine. It's the ultimate feel-good chemical, and its entire job is to make you remember what you just did and make you want to do it again and again and again. But here's the catch, and this is absolutely crucial. Not all dopamine is the same. On one side, you've got activities that give you this massive instant spike. Think video games, binge watching. And on the other side, you have activities that give you a much slower, more sustainable rise, like reading a book or going for a run. This is exactly why it's so hard for a brain that's used to those fast spikes to get any enjoyment out of something slow. And this visual, it perfectly explains the cycle. Because as we all know, what goes up must come down. The higher and faster that dopamine spike shoots up, the deeper and more painful the crash is afterward. See, your dopamine levels don't just go back to normal. They plummet below your baseline. And that leaves you feeling tired, unmotivated, even hopeless. And what does your brain start screaming for in that moment? Another fast hit to feel good again. That, my friends, is the trap. Okay, so that's the problem. The big question is, how do we get off this crazy dopamine roller coaster for good? Well, it takes a real strategy. So let's break down a super practical 3-step plan you can literally start using today. Step 1 is self-awareness. And this is about being brutally honest with yourself. Admitting that playing video games for 8 hours isn't relaxing, it's a problem, and it's in control. Step 2, replacement. You don't just stop cold turkey, you find a healthier habit to fill the void. The author of our source materials swapped League of Legends for working out. And then step 3, find an obsession. For him, that was building a YouTube channel. This new mission became so all-consuming that it literally crowded out the old addiction. There was just no room for it anymore. All right, this next part, this is a real game changer because it goes way beyond just changing what you do. It's about changing who you fundamentally are. See, lasting change isn't about swapping one habit for another. It's about completely rewiring your own self-image. So let's just pause and really think about this for a second. Who is the ideal version of you? What does that person do? What are their habits? This isn't just some vague philosophical question. It's actually the most powerful and practical tool you have for quitting anything. And this is the secret sauce right here. If your identity is a video game addict who's trying to quit, you're always going to be fighting yourself. But what if you start to see yourself as someone who's productive, someone who's healthy, someone who's in control of their life? Well, then your actions have to start lining up with that new identity. Because spending 8 hours a day gaming just doesn't fit with who you are anymore. But look, let's be realistic. This journey is never, ever a straight line. There are going to be days where you feel awful, where the urge to slip back into those old habits is just overwhelming. So what happens when you do slip up? The most important thing to remember is that a setback is not a failure. This right here is such a huge mental shift you have to make. We have this tendency to see any relapse as starting over from scratch, like all that progress we made just got erased. But that's just not true. It's just one data point on a much, much longer journey of getting better. This comparison just says it all. On the left, that's what a relapse feels like you've just tumbled all the way back down to the bottom of the mountain. But the reality, that's on the right. It's just a tiny dip in an overall upward trend. The trick is to forgive yourself immediately. If you went 7 days without and then slipped up, don't obsess over the slip up. Focus on the win. You made it a whole week. Now aim for 8 days. It's all about progress, not perfection. And really, that's what this all boils down to. Quitting an addiction isn't about a lifetime of gritting your teeth and resisting temptation. It's about deciding consciously who you want to become, and then taking small, daily steps to act like that person. The person you were yesterday doesn't have to define the person you are today. So the only question left is, who will you choose to be?